Since the discovery of the first dinosaur fossils, scientists have repeatedly revised their ideas about what these creatures looked like and how they behaved. These changes were based on new scientific evidence, yet for most people, their understanding of ancient reptiles is shaped more by Hollywood films and cartoons. The influence of popular culture on viewers' perceptions is so strong that no scientific discovery seems capable of altering established stereotypes. However, filmmakers often rely on outdated data or, for the sake of artistic flair, present outright fabrications. To learn about the lives of real dinosaurs, many of us have seen living dinosaurs in Steven Spielberg's legendary film Jurassic Park and its subsequent sequels. At the time, it seemed that the reptiles in this film were depicted not only realistically but also in line with the scientific understanding of the period. However, this turned out to be somewhat inaccurate. Let's take a look at some of the main myths about dinosaurs, using examples from this undeniably iconic series. Let's start with a myth that isn't directly related to the films. There's a stereotype that dinosaurs were wiped out by a collision between our planet and a giant asteroid. This event is said to have led to the instantaneous extinction of all dinosaurs without exception. However, the truth is that the meteorite impact triggered the beginning of a planetary-scale catastrophe. When the meteorite struck the ocean at what is now the Gulf of Mexico, it caused a colossal explosion that sent vast amounts of soil and debris into the atmosphere, burying extensive areas. This debris, along with the shockwave, undoubtedly obliterated all life within several thousand kilometers. Many creatures also fell victim to the massive tsunami and the volcanic activity that followed. However, it's unlikely that dinosaurs on the opposite side of the planet from the explosion felt much of anything. Their extinction was primarily due to climate change on Earth, a process that unfolded over approximately 200,000 years. The dust and volcanic ash that filled the sky led to what's often referred to as a nuclear winter. Temperatures on the planet began to drop. Without sunlight and warmth, many plants died off, which in turn led to the extinction of herbivorous dinosaurs, and eventually the carnivores that preyed on them. Nevertheless, some dinosaurs managed to adapt to the changing climate, and their descendants still inhabit all continents, even Antarctica. These creatures are ordinary birds, descendants of small feathered dinosaurs that were already warm-blooded at the time. The presence of feathers in dinosaurs brings us to the next myth. Popular culture continues to portray dinosaurs as gigantic reptiles. In movies, they are often depicted with scales resembling the skin of modern-day monitor lizards. However, by the time the first film was made, it was already known that many, if not all, dinosaurs had feathers. While their name contains a Greek word meaning lizard, it's important to recognize that calling them reptiles isn't entirely accurate. Dinosaurs were more akin to birds or their ancestors. Even in the documentary series, Walking with Dinosaurs, dinosaurs are shown without feathers. But it's not fair to say that the scientists behind this remarkable project were mistaken. It was filmed long before the presence of feathers in dinosaurs was proven. In the Jurassic Park films, we don't see a single feathered dinosaur. This was likely a deliberate choice to create a more fearsome appearance for the predators hunting park visitors. Additionally, Steven Spielberg made some dinosaurs larger than they actually were. Imagine how amusing it would have been for audiences to see ceratopsians resembling oversized chickens, about 70 centimeters tall and weighing around 20 kilograms, while in the film, characters are fleeing from 2-meter-tall versions of a downsized Tyrannosaurus rex that can set clever traps and pick locks. But the biggest myths created by Hollywood are associated with the most famous dinosaur of the era, the Tyrannosaurus rex, in this film series. The T-Rex is depicted as a bloodthirsty monster, and in that portrayal, it does reflect reality. It was indeed the largest land predator to ever roam the earth. However, it was also covered in feathers, and there are numerous misconceptions about it that have become deeply ingrained in our collective consciousness. The first misconception is that there's no escaping a Tyrannosaurus rex, even in a car. In various films, characters often try to outrun the T-Rex at full speed, with the monster relentlessly pursuing them without losing an inch. In reality, recent studies have shown that this giant could not run faster than 20 kilometers per hour. While it might have been capable of a short sprint over a few dozen meters to catch its prey, its body was not built for sustained running. Some experts even suggest that it may have been an ambush predator or scavenger. The second misconception is that the T-Rex only pays attention to moving objects. There are often scenes in the films where the T-Rex walks just a few meters away from characters frozen in fear, completely oblivious to them. Viewers are led to believe that it had poor eyesight and couldn't distinguish stationary objects. However, recent research indicates that its vision was significantly better than that of humans and could rival that of eagles. Additionally, it's important to consider that it could have simply smelled its prey, especially if it was scavenging. The third misconception revolves around the terrifying roar of the T-Rex. In the films, this dinosaur instills fear in everyone around due to its chilling roar, but this effect was intentionally created by sound designers to enhance the dramatic impact. In our minds, all dangerous predators have a menacing growl, and sound effects specialists crafted this fearsome sound based on the noises made by several different animals. The roar of the T-Rex was created using a slowed-down sound made by a baby elephant. Interestingly, in the film, the voice of the Brachiosaurus was provided by a regular donkey, while the sounds of the Velociraptor were borrowed from mating turtles. The filmmakers had to get creative, as the vocal apparatus of any living creature consists of soft tissues, and no samples have survived to this day. It's likely that the sounds dinosaurs made were similar to those of their modern descendants or closest relatives, birds and crocodiles. However, these creatures produce sounds that are far from terrifying. Birds can chirp, click, and even hiss, while crocodiles croak or emit very quiet growls, more akin to a cat's purring. Who would be scared by a croaking or clucking Tyrannosaurus Rex? Yet the biggest myth created by Michael Crichton, the author of Jurassic Park, is the idea that science can bring dinosaurs back to life. The process of recreating prehistoric reptiles appears quite scientific and plausible from the perspective of the average viewer. It seems that all it would take is to find a well-preserved DNA sample, and geneticists could clone dinosaurs, just like in the movies. However, despite our desire to see living dinosaurs, DNA cannot survive for that long. At best, in the foreseeable future, we might see mammoths and saber-toothed tigers in zoos, as they went extinct relatively recently. The only scientific method for recreating dinosaurs involves extracting the necessary traits from the genes of modern birds. Interestingly, experiments in this area are already underway, and researchers have made some progress. One group is attempting to create what they call a chickenosaurus by awakening dormant dinosaur genes in a regular domestic chicken. Thank you for watching this video until the end. Here, you can expand your knowledge about the real behaviors and appearances of many representatives from the age of dinosaurs and other extinct species.